Rupee notes won't be accepted by railways and buses and at metro stations after December. The earlier deadline to use old 500 rupee notes was till the 15th of December. Listen in to the finance minister and how the opposition responded to him.
इस एक महीने में ये स्विच ओवर होता हुआ दिख रहा है और इसलिए सरकार इस स्विच ओवर को और तेज करना चाहती है। एक तरफ लेस कैश इकोनॉमी होगी, जिसके लिए धीरे धीरे रोज एक करेंसी रिलीज करता है रिजर्व बैंक, और दूसरी तरफ डिजिटलाइजेशन की तरफ एक बड़ा प्रयास होगा और शिफ्ट होगा।
There's the whole concept of the pay-TM, pay to Modi. That's the idea behind cashless economy. That a few people should get maximum benefit from every single cash transaction. That is what is going on. It has damaged the country tremendously. It has hurt a lot of people, and it has specifically hurt the poor people. So it has devastated, especially the poor people, farmers, fishermen, daily wage laborers. Everybody has been hurt by this.
Those are two sides of the political coin. But tonight I want to raise both sides. Is demonetization 1 month on proving to be a boon or bane? Is it a lot of pain for very little gain, or just the other side? Our first report is from the unorganized sector, where daily wage laborers are suffering, we believe, due to the cash crunch. Some are even complaining that they are still being paid in old currency. Ilma has the first of our reports, this time showing the pain.
Ten years ago, Arjun moved to the national capital. Finding a job in his home state of Assam had become difficult. He's now a daily wager, doing odd jobs which make him around 600 rupees a day. But now in the middle of the afternoon, when Arjun would usually be at work, he's sitting near his shelter. But neither him nor his friends were able to get work for the day. And this has been a regular occurrence since demonetization kicked in a month ago.
हमारे काम में बहुत फर्क पड़ेगा जी। पहले जैसे हम पार्टी के काम पे जाते थे, 1000 रुपये 1200 रुपये दिहाड़ी निकलती था, तो अब 500-600 में रह गया। उसमें भी नोट दे देते पुराने वाले जो पहले चलते थे, तो उसमें से भी अब हम कहीं जाते हैं तो उस नोट में भी 200 रुपये 150 रुपये करते हैं, तो 300-350 रुपये हमें मिलते हैं।
नोटबंदी के बाद मैडम काम पे बहुत ज़्यादा असर पड़ा है, और पहले हम लोगों को बहुत सारा काम मिलता था, फिलहाल में बहुत काम कम हो गया है। जैसे शादियों का काम चले, समय सीजन चल रहा है, शादी आगे के लिए लोग बढ़ा रहे हैं, तो उनके पास पैसा नहीं है देने के लिए, और कोई हमसे काम कराता है, इमरजेंसी काम मिल भी जाता है थोड़ा बहुत, तो जैसे 500 का नोट मिलता है, हमको 1000 का नोट पुराना देते हैं वो लोग, तो 500 का नोट मार्केट में उसके आधे पैसे में चलता है।
If they get a job for the day, most of these men and women are paid in old currency notes, forcing them to exchange their hard-earned money for commission from touts.
हमारा मालिक हमारे को पुराना नोट देता है, और हम जो खुला कराने जाते हैं तो हमको 250 रुपया मिलता है।
सैलरी वही है, पुराने नोट भी पकड़ा देते हैं, कई बार नए नोट भी दे देते हैं। बोल के ले जाएंगे, खुले देंगे, खुले पैसे देंगे, खुले मिलते नहीं है, इसलिए हम काम पे भी जाना बंद कर दिए हैं।
With 93% working in the informal sector, many have been rendered jobless ever since demonetization. The income of unorganized sector workers has gone down to 60%.
देखिए, जहां पूरे भारत में 93% जो लेबर इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर में काम कर रहे हैं, वहाँ पे दिल्ली में जो होमलेस लोग हैं जो शेल्टर में रहते हैं, शेल्टर के बाहर सड़कों पे रहते हैं, अगर इनको काम के लिए 2000 का नोट भी किसी को अगर मिल गया, तो लोग बाग ये देखते हैं कि इसके पास 2000 का नोट आया कैसे। तो ये बड़ा सवालिया निशान है।
When Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced the demonetization move, all the focus went to banks and ATMs. But what went unnoticed was how the informal sector was dealing with this. Construction workers, laborers. I'm standing in one of North Delhi's shelters right now, and if you came here exactly a month ago, you'd find it completely empty. But now it's packed, full of people hoping they get their hands on the next job, struggling to survive, barely making their ends meet. With camera person Rakesh, Ilma Hassan for India Today.
Okay, so that is the pain of demonetization. The poor are being hit. What about the benefits? The primary pitch now of demonetization seems to have taken a major shift to cashless economy from the war against black money. And there is evidence that small traders, people across the country are beginning to slowly use cash substitutes like debit cards and digital wallets to meet their daily needs.
8 नवंबर 2016 की रात्रि को 12 बजे से वर्तमान में जारी 500 रुपए और 1000 रुपए की करेंसी नोट लीगल टेंडर नहीं रहेंगे.
A month after Prime Minister Modi's big note ban move and an all-out push for a cashless economy, digital payments are witnessing a sharp spike. Demonetization has led to a gradual shift to e-monetization. While long queues outside banks and ATMs are still there, cash substitutes like debit cards and digital wallets are increasingly being used. Since the 8th of November, when Modi announced note ban, electronic transactions via cards and digi-wallets have gone up by 44%. A honey seller from remote Sundarban in Bengal, Golam Mustafa, has dumped cash in favor of mobile payments to run his business.
पेटीएम में बहुत आसानी से काम हो रहा है, आराम से हो रहा है. जस्ट मोबाइल से वहाँ पे पेमेंट आ रहा है तो आराम से सब कुछ हो जा रहा है यहाँ पे.
Malls in Ranchi have gone a step further. Customers are being allowed to swipe their cards at the point of sale terminals that are installed and get the new 2000 rupees currency notes.
नोटबंदी के बाद कुछ दिनों से असर पड़ा. शुरुआत 4-5 दिनों में. बाद में हमने हमारे कंपनी ने एक प्रोजेक्ट शुरू किया, स्मार्ट एटीएम, जिससे कोई भी ग्राहक जो एटीएम में जो भीड़भाड़ होती थी, भीड़भाड़ को कम करने के लिए हमने यहाँ से कैश देना शुरू किया.
In Chhattisgarh, the government has made it mandatory for all government offices to receive payments predominantly through cards. Swiping machines have been installed across government offices and shops.
स्वाइप मेरे पास है, लेकिन हमको ये डर लगता है कि कैमरे लगे हुए हैं सब जगह. कैमरे में अगर मैंने स्वाइप किया और बाई चांस उसका कोड किसी के पास चला गया, ऑलरेडी मैं 2 बार चीट हो चुका हूँ. 2 बार आईसीआईसीआई बैंक में मैंने कंप्लेंट कर चुकी है, लेकिन उसकी कोई सुनवाई आज तक नहीं हुई. मेरे पैसे डूबे हुए हैं.
Despite initial bottlenecks, the growing adoption of e-payments come as bright spots in Prime Minister Modi's most ambitious move to turn India into a cashless economy. Bureau Report, India Today.
Demonetization then boon or bane? That's the question that I want to raise. Why is it a boon? Let's look at the reasons why many believe it's a boon. It's shaken up the system. It's the new normal, as some are calling it. It's instilled fear in black money operators. It's pushed many small vendors, as you saw in that story, to go cashless. It has increased liquidity in the banking system, is another reason. It has acted against terror funding in Maoist areas. Some evidence to suggest that there is a decline in money to Maoists in particular. It's given Mr. Modi a major political boost ahead of the UP elections. Remember, he has a huge cash advantage now over some of his rivals. What are the banes of demonetization? Let's be clear, it has led to a severe cash crunch. Even now in ATMs, there isn't the kind of money you would hope for. Many small and medium enterprises are clearly hurting. Number 3, economic slowdown and the possibility of job losses still exists. Number 4, it has stretched the banking system to the limit. Number 5, the demonetized money importantly is coming back into the system. RBI admits more than 11 crores have already come in and only 14.5 crores were believed to be in the system of 500 and 1000 rupee notes. So where is the black money is a question. And the other bane, rural banking and credit systems are badly affected. It brings me to my big question. Demonetization, boon or bane? Let's go straight to our panel. Joining me now, Sambit Patra. He's the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. I'm joined by Rajiv Dubey, my colleague here, managing editor of Business Today. Arvind Virmani, former Chief Economic Advisor, is also with us, and I hope to be joined by Sushmita Dev, Member of Parliament and spokesperson of the Congress. But to you, Sambit Patra, I don't know if you saw the first story we put out today. There is a sense that the poor are beginning to hurt. Small and medium enterprises are either reducing their productive capacity, are cutting on jobs, and therefore there is a sense purely from the job market and purely from an economic perspective, the slowdown is beginning to hurt 1 month into demonetization. Are you willing to concede it?
Rajdeep, I'll specifically answer this question also, but I have a small objection that I want to raise. The objection is, while you are reading out the boons of demonetization, the second point that you mentioned was Modi has a political advantage, especially in Uttar Pradesh, because he has caste advantage over other political parties. I don't buy this argument at all. Why does he have a cash advantage over other political parties? I strongly object to this, and I make a respectful wish that you should amend your statement and withdraw this statement.
No, 1
Why
minute.
Should you say that Modi has a
are you
cash
saying?
advantage?
No, 1 minute. I said cash advantage in the context of the fact that general belief is that the regional parties operate in cash. And many of those regional parties, therefore, will not have the cash for the UP elections that a national party like the BJP will have. Are you telling me that the BJP does not have that cash advantage? Are you telling me that no BJP leader knew about the November 8th announcement? And therefore the BJP is on the same level playing field as the...
telling you.
Yes.
I'm categorically telling you that no BJP leader, apart from the one who was supposed to make this decision, legally supposed to make this decision, knew about this. And so when you say that Prime Minister has a cash advantage, this is an ill-founded statement by a very senior person like you. You should immediately withdraw this, because this is something which the opposition can make out in rhetorics, but not a very seasoned journalist like you.
Okay, I'm not willing to withdraw it, but I'm willing to put your objection on record. I'm not willing to withdraw it, but I take your objection on record.
You should withdraw it. Anyhow, we would lose the topic of debate if we keep on debating around this. But let me tell you, let me come to the point that you had asked me. I mean, the economists are present over here. Any economist in the country knows that approximately 25 to 40% of the economic activities in India, in fact, was carried out till today out of the books, with money out of the books. So today, when this is finding its way into the books, I believe plain logic says that this is beneficial to the economy. Any economist would concede to the fact that comparing ourselves with any major economy where the cash to the GDP ratio is approximately 4%, while in India it was about 12.5%, if we are successful in reducing this 12.5% to anywhere between 7 and 8%, it is largely beneficial to economy. Well, yes, you have a point that there are certain labor pains right now, and I could see that in your report. I would not contest that. I would concede and say that, well, there are inconveniences to people, and that's the reason as to why we are being extremely human, that we should be as a government, and we are reaching out to the people and thanking them for the inconveniences and just saying that please bear with us for a while, 50 days to be precise, because this is a big change, game changer as called by many of the economists, including Nandan Nilekani, Bill Gates, etc. So naturally, when the country is going through such a big transformative reform, it is evident that some amount of inconveniences would be there, but the later gain would be absolutely fantabulous.
You're using the word inconvenience, and I want to put that to you, Arvind Virmani. Should we see this as inconvenience? The fact that there is still a cash crunch, the fact that there are still long queues. I went today to a bank ATM which at 2 p.m. in the heart of Delhi said there was no more cash. Let's be clear, are these to be seen as inconveniences? Are the potential job losses, the fact that there are factories that are cutting down on production, to be seen as inconvenience? Or do you believe that this is something more substantial than the government had first initially thought of?
So I want to make 2 points here. One is on the negatives which you have pointed out, and a couple of points on the positive.
Yes.
On the negative side, it's very clear. In fact, the day after, in the morning, when my first tweet was that it's going to have a very large short-term effect on the retail part of the economy. So when cash got withdrawn, the medium of exchange went away, and this was not surprising to me at all that all goods, services, and in services I include labor, wage labor, would be affected. So that is not something surprising, and obviously this will translate into a certain amount of GDP losses which we can discuss. But on the positive side, I want to also within a couple of days it was clear to me that there would be two short-term positive effects. One is on people would be forced in a way because of demonetization to effectively declare some of their income, and not only that, maybe some of the accumulated wealth as current income, so that they would pay the taxes and the revenues would go up in kind of semi-independently of what happened to GDP, just because of declaration. So that is a positive. Government will have more funds and will be able to use them, hopefully effectively. And the second point, which actually has been missed by a lot of people, that just as the economy which you see suffers, the black asset economy is also suffering. That is, the prices of real estate will actually go down by about 30%, perhaps even up to 50%, because people will not have that black component to be able to purchase these goods. So these are the two kind of short-term positives.
Right.
The negative is very clear.
Okay, let me just come to those short-term positives in a way, because this word black economy, when the Prime Minister Rajdeep made his speech on November 8th, the focus was on black economy, it was on counterfeit currency, it was on terror funding. There is some evidence to suggest on terror funding it has had an impact. We don't know about counterfeit currency, and we've seen today, interestingly, in Chennai, 70 crores worth of black money has been seized, all in new currency. So from suitcase you have moved to briefcase. 2,000 rupees are the new currency of black money. So has the demonetization move actually hit black money, A? And B, if 11.5 crores or 11.8 crores have already come in out of the 14.5 crores held by the RBI, then where is that black money component actually going to, where is that black money component that the government was banking upon? Is the gain, therefore, worth all this pain?
So, Rajdeep, one, we see black money all around us. So there's nothing to deny that there is black money in the system. The question is whether we've got that black money into the tax net. The point is that of this 11.8 crore or 12 lakh crore that the government has announced has come back into the banking system, there is still going to be, there is that element of IDS in between, the income declaration scheme, and voluntary disclosure of the income under IDS, that amount, that number, the government is still to tell us. So there will be some amount of this money which will actually be parked as IDS or under IDS, which will actually be black money, which will, where the government will get something like 50% of the tax. Then there will be other money which they will then check and investigate and see whether people had hidden some money and yet declared it and yet parked them into their accounts. In their case, in those cases, the tax will be something like 85%. So we don't know that amount yet out of this 11.8 lakh
So you're
crores.
saying the government could have a potential treasure chest, which they could then redistribute as speculation goes, possibly as 10,000 rupees or 15,000 rupees in every Jan Dhan Yojana account below a certain poverty line. That's supposed to be...
There's speculation about that. There is another element of this, is that there is a whole host of transactions which are now going to be into the digital economy, which would have probably taken something like 2, 3, 4, 5 years for this to happen, which has happened in this period of 30 days, probably a little more by the time the 50th day is over.
That's a good point. Sushmita Dev of the Congress is joining me on the phone line because our camera team has not reached you, Ms. Dev. I want to ask you this, that are you not willing to concede? Today when Rahul Gandhi was, suggesting that Paytm means pay to Modi, I think isn't that being a little unfair? That this money at the end of the day is going to churn around, circulate in the economy, and possibly, as is being suggested, as you move digital, as you move cashless, the rewards of dealing only in black money will reduce to that extent, the more you become cashless. So is the Congress being a little unfair in saying Paytm means pay to Modi? Sushmita Dev, can you hear me?
अभी किया था फिर
Sushmita Dev, can you hear me?
करो भाई.
Interestingly, the Congress spokesperson is not available, it appears, at the moment. We'll try and go back. Sushmita Dev, the question I am raising with you, ma'am, when your leader says Paytm is paid to Modi, aren't you being a little uncharitable to the Prime Minister? This is money which is going into creating a digital cashless economy.
Rajdeep, we don't have a problem with the cashless economy, but the Prime Minister, when he announced this entire policy on 8th of November, his emphasis was on black money, his emphasis was on corruption. But now he's talking about a cashless economy. We don't have anything against it, but the question is, what is the cost to the economy to make it cashless? And demonetization announced overnight is not the way to introduce cashless economy. He talks about Digital India, we appreciate it. He should have increased the bank branch reach. He talks about cashless economy, we agree with it. He should have worked on the internet reach. You can't on 8th November go on national television, act like a masiha against corruption, and then shift your goalpost to what you're saying is a cashless economy. Please stick to corruption and black money, and the fact is that this policy has not had the impact he intended to have on it. We've never questioned his intention, but the fact is his policy, which is a war against corruption, so to speak, has failed.
No,
Cashless economy is good.
1 minute,
it
ma'am.
must happen. It can't happen overnight. It's a
1 minute. You are using the word, interesting word you are using is shifting the goalposts. I heard this from Rahul Gandhi also today, and I want to take this to you, Sambit Patra. Has the Prime Minister and the government now shifted the goalposts? On the 8th of November, this was supposed to be a war against black money. It's now about how quickly can we become a cashless economy. All the incentives that Mr. Jaitley spoke about today were designed to incentivize people to turn cashless. Now, was that the aim of demonetization? And then why do you need demonetization? If you want to push towards a cashless economy, there are other steps you could have taken. Why did you need this pain of demonetization for the so-called gain of cashless?
Rajdeep, it doesn't take a rocket science to understand the basic logic that such a huge step as demonetization will definitely have multiple targets, and the prime target being curbing the black money, the others being attacking the terror funding, suffocating the Naxals, and we have seen 500 Naxals have already surrendered because of the effect of demonetization. Others being creating a cashless society, and there are a slew of other targets. So naturally, a mother of all reforms, a game changer, does not have a unique or a singular target. It has multiple targets. So to say that there's a...
Mr. Patra, the black money target, do you really believe the black money target has been met? Today 70 crores seized in Chennai in new currency. It has moved from suitcase to briefcase, from 1,000 to 2,000 rupee notes.
I'm answering that. If you allow me some time, because number of people are questioning me, you have to allow me proportionate time. No, I'll answer certain questions which were raised by the economists also, though I'm not an economist. I mean, your concern was all the money is finding its way back to the banking system. So the basic fight against black money does not exist anymore. That's a faulted argument. On two counts. Count number one. Look, it is not 14 lakh crore rupees that is to be accounted for. It is approximately 16.2 lakh crore that we have to account for, because the amount, the currency that we were calculating as 14 lakh was a March 8th announcement. As on November 8th when the announcement was made, approximate currency was 16 of demonetized currency was 16.2 lakh crore.
We can dispute that.
As of today, it is 11.5 lakh crore has found its way to the bank. And remember, the principle is people generally deposit with a great deal of fervor in the initial days, and this momentum is gradually lost towards the end. So I believe personally that probably if it is 11.5 today, maybe 12.5 by the time we reach 31st of December. So there may be a gain of 3 to 3.5 lakh crore still. This is speculation, but I'm giving you a personal figure. Secondly, it's a wrong logic to say that any money that has found its way back to the formal banking system has been converted into white money. Not at all. Black money finding its way to the formal system is still under the surveillance of the taxman, has left a trail. The trail would be cut off and the trial would begin. So naturally the black money would be black money. The tax base would increase, as was pointed out by the economist who spoke before me. And only 1% of people paying their taxes. Definitely the need of the hour also is to increase the tax base. Lending power of the bank would increase, interest rate would come down. Are these not the benefits that we are supposed to take into? And my last conclusion, 10 seconds,
Yes.
10 seconds, I'll conclude in 10 seconds, and I want no further grilling. The 10 seconds I would just say to Susmita Sen and to you also, Rajdeep, when you say, is it not a little unfair when Rahul Gandhi says that Paytm means pay to Modi? No. Those who are out on bail, remember Rahul Gandhi and Sonia ji are out on bail and they are preaching Paytm means pay to Modi. Those who are responsible for all these scams are into a preaching mode. They should not. They should sit down and they should learn.
Okay, they should sit down and learn. Sushmita Dev and not Sushmita Sen. I'm sure you'd like to be called Sushmita Sen.
I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Sushmita Dev, it is being suggested that you are that the Congress has no right to use the word Paytm means pay to Modi. None of you are able to yet establish that the money is going to Mr. Modi. I mean, I think that's a bit unfair when you say Paytm means pay to Modi. The fact is that the government claims that that taxes, that money from black money is going into the banking system. Therefore, taxes will be charged on that. The tax revenues will increase, and that gives the government greater bandwidth. Are you not willing to concede that, Sushmita Dev?
See, actually what Prime Minister Modi has effectively done, he's declared this policy in complete ignorance, if I may say so, of the fact that a huge percentage of India's economy is legitimate cash economy. He's confused black money with cash money. And it's a very basic error which one doesn't expect out of the Prime Minister of India, who claims to be great in governance and the maker of the Gujarat model. So he has no understanding of the economy. That has become clear. So what we are saying is that Prime Minister Modi, who declared war against corruption, has completely failed on it, because in the last 30 days of demonetization, all that has come to the forefront is that it's the BJP as a party which has bought land, and it is BJP's various sangatans which has deposited cash money in a hurry before 8th of November. So there's no point taking a high moral ground. This is a catastrophe as far as an economic policy is concerned. GDP is taking a hit, our economy has taken a hit, our rural economy has taken a huge hit. So all I'm saying is that all that Rahul Gandhi ji is saying, that here is a Prime Minister who is a Prime Minister of rhetoric with huge damage to the economy. Was this economic policy worth it? And if the ultimate goal was cashless economy, then his 8th November sudden announcement absolutely makes no economic sense.
Okay, can I get the economists? The politicians tend to resort to rhetoric.
Foregone conclusion.
Okay, can I just get final words from the economists? Whether this is, in a sense, whether the pain is worth the gain. Arvind Birmani, very quickly, I have limited time. Is the pain worth the gain? Was this necessary? Demonetization across the world is questionable. It's done usually by economies which are struggling. Did we need it? 1 month on, do you believe we needed it?
See, the most important thing from my perspective is the overall tax reforms for generation of new black money. We have already got an announcement that the corporate income tax formed, that there will be a GST. I think it's very important that given that this is focused on personal income, that the personal income taxes also be reformed. And I am hopeful that in the next budget there will be such reform which will sustain this increase in voluntary compliance. Without it, of course, everything will go back to where it was in maybe 3 to 5 years. So that's the most important. And just very briefly, the second point on corruption. So in black money, I think of taxes and tax terrorism and corruption. So we need to do a lot more on the corruption, which I describe as the politician, Babu, police, criminal nexus. And so for that we need political reforms and we need other related reforms. Again, without that we will again have this same situation 5 years from now.
I just have 10 seconds. Tax terrorism. The fact is the taxman is going every day across the country. There are more and more raids. There is enough reason to believe that the taxman has been let loose. Is that going to end corruption, or is that going to actually result in a situation where you will have the taxman running amok?
I think seriously tax terrorism is only going to increase over a period of time. We've been talking to certain companies and there are projects that the government has given out to various companies. There are projects to GPS companies to target and tell the government, for instance, in what geography, how many rich people live and what is the amount of transactions that are taking place according to PAN and according to addresses. So we know that the tax terrorism, as you call it, is probably going to increase over a period of time, because the government wants to make sure that whoever is not paying taxes is actually taxed.
Okay, let me take a break. I want to take a break because it's interesting that we need to reflect on other evidences that we have from the ground, where we are looking at 1 month after demonetization, the ground reality. Now, a month after the Prime Minister's move of demonetizing high-valued currency, we conducted a reality check in banks and ATMs in several parts of the country. This is what we found.
500 रुपये, 1000 रुपये के पुराने नोट अब केवल कागज के एक टुकड़े के समान रह जाएंगे।
A month later, the pain of currency rationing has not lessened much. People are still queuing outside banks and ATMs. Tempers are occasionally flaring. The only difference now is that those in lines have to battle an early morning chill as well.
1 month down the lane on 8th of December today, the long queues outside ATM and bank branches are raring to go, and you have as much as almost 100-meter long queues still waiting, braving the winter chill of Delhi. Some waiting since 6 a.m. in the morning.
In the financial capital of Mumbai, the slow cash flow into the system is telling on the mood of the people.
The thing is, it's a disaster for me because I go late for work. Every day the same story. And even the household expenses I have to pay everybody. With 2000 rupees note, who is going to accept that?
Even after 1 month down the lane, people support the government's intention but still question the implementation with more vigor.
आप नोटबंदी के समर्थन में अभी भी हैं?
समर्थन में है सर, लेकिन कोई सुधार तो नहीं हो रहा है ना।
सुधार नहीं हो रहा।
1 महीना हो गया, सुधार तो होना चाहिए। लाइन वैसा ही है, भीड़ वैसा ही है, दिक्कतें वही सही हो रही है।
The condition even worsening for people in the rural areas, protesting and blocking roads. Highways were blocked in Bijnor, where people failed to get cash. Demonetization has its own effect on the old city of Varanasi, as residents throng ATMs across the city. It is exactly a month since the Prime Minister's big announcement, and the country still remains divided on whether moves should have come up with better planning.
For those ATMs and banks which need to definitely have more cash so that these queues can get shorter, people can get some cash for nothing else but for the basic necessities. With camera person Vipin, this is Parveena, Delhi, India Today.
Let me go back to my panel. I want to go first to you, Sambit Patra, because you've been calling it an inconvenience on this program. Now, it is not an inconvenience if I have to stand 10 hours outside an ATM in winter. I hope you realize that you're sitting in the comfort, sir, wherever you are at the moment, as I am in the studio. I can send my assistant to get the money, but many others cannot. To call it an inconvenience, Sambit, would be a little unfair. Would you concede that? 1 month into it, cash which I have hard-earned cash. I go into a bank, banks are giving me for my 24,000 rupee check only 5,000 rupees. Is that fair? Isn't this a violation of citizen rights, of consumer rights, to call it an inconvenience? You're being a little unfair, Sambit.
Rajdeep, you're right. I should not be unfair. And it's very painful to see anyone, I mean rich or poor or the middle class, standing in queues for hours together. And we should all be human. I agree to this fact. And I should show no arrogance on the show that I am a political spokesperson, so I have to shout at every issue. I agree with you. But despite the fact that people are inconvenienced, people are having lots of problem. Look at what people are saying. People are saying they're not questioning the intention. Well, yes, they have certain issues with the implementation, which should be debated on the floor of the parliament. We have no issues with that. But people understand that if India has to change, India has to come out with reforms. And simple people probably who are less educated than you, Rajdeep, less educated than the fantastic economists that we have over here, they can still say that, well, yes, the intention of the Prime Minister is to change the system which really needed a new normal. And that is the beauty of this whole reform that we are seeing, that people who are inconvenienced are the ones who are supporting it.
The new normal is to stand outside
but
10
the
hours,
people
come
who are
on.
sitting in the...
Sambit Patra, this word is a terrible word. Is the new normal to stand in winter for 10 hours, 6 to 10 hours outside a bank, waiting to take out my cash, and then to be told by the bank manager there isn't cash? Come on. These words, new normal, are an abnormal word.
I'll tell you what new normal is, Rajdeep, and I'll be face on to say what new normal is. Rajdeep, we all, including you, me, both the economist and Sushmita ji, we all knew that if we have to go and buy a property tomorrow, then we have to make a part payment in cash and a part payment in check. We all knew that. None of us opened our mouth. We kept our mouth shut. And we were doing that religiously and ritualistically all these years. All of us would go to a shop and the shopkeeper will ask us, Kacha bilti chahiye, pakka bilti chahiye. Religiously we were following that. And we all questioned every night in the news debates, when will India change? When will India have a robust economy like Singapore or US? When will we become a developed nation? How will we become a developed nation, Rajdeep, if everything that was illegal was normal for us? And that's what I call new normal. I don't call the inconveniences of people new normal.
Okay.
I'm pained when anyone, and don't consider spokespersons of political parties as people rich on people of standard who would send their assistants to stand in queue. I go out
sir,
and
I
fetch my
know,
own
sir,
money.
your party leaders are having very lavish weddings. Even as you and I speak, there is no shortage of lavish weddings being held by politicians. I will not go more into that. No. Please, let's be clear. That nothing has changed in the lifestyle of the rich. The lifestyle of the rich is not changing. It's the lifestyle of the middle class which has been hurt, and of the poor. But Sushmita Dev, the fact is, despite that, despite the long queues, most people that we meet say, "Acha hai, kam se kam kuch naya ho raha hai. Let's wait till the 30th. Let's give Mr. Modi the benefit of doubt." So clearly the Prime Minister still enjoys a high degree of trust. Will you concede that? Will the Congress at least concede that? That politically the Prime Minister has gained?
Rajdeep, any Prime Minister who says he is going to fight corruption, any public representative who says that, citizens of India will stand by that Prime Minister. There is no doubt about it. But the point is, a Prime Minister who uses the word corruption and black money 18 times in his nation to the address today has nothing to say for that. That's the point. People stood in queues without complaining because they believed that this economic policy of the Prime Minister of India will actually fight corruption in the real sense. And that's where this policy has failed. He said, I have done it without informing anybody, and the reason for it is people who have stashed cash in their homes.
Miss
Even
Dev,
if it's
why are
politicians, I'm going after them.
Miss Dev, why are people then still willing to give the Prime Minister the benefit of doubt? Why is it that there is still... No, where is the anger? Where is the so-called anger that the Congress keeps talking about? Where is that so-called anger?
The anger is here. The anger is here. Rajdeep, the anger is, it is a well-known fact, just like cash was spent in buying and selling of property. Similarly, people have converted their black money into white by paying commissions. All that this policy has helped only those middlemen who have earned commissions. That's the reality of this demonetization policy.
Yes.
It is all over the place. Look at what happened in the Reddy brothers' wedding. The driver says he's converted hundreds of crores for a commission. So what was the point of this exercise to the cost of the economy?
Can I for a moment get the economists for a... Is there some reason, Rajiv? to believe that there is a large amount of money laundering that has gone on, that on payment of commissions, people are converting black into white. Is that the way to see it? Or is it to see that this is money that's now in the banking system, you will pay your taxes on it, and that money will widen the tax revenue? There are two ways you can look at it.
Both ways are correct. I mean, there is enormous amount of money laundering that is happening in the system. If you look at the amount of money that the government, RBI is supplying to the banks, and correlate that with the kind of queues that are outside the banks, it's just unbelievable, because you are getting something like 15 to 20% of the money that you require on a daily basis, but the banks are not able to disburse the kind of money that people are asking for. 24,000 rupees, 10,000 rupee limits, they have all been shrunk to something like 4,000. So there's a huge racket of bank managers which are involved in this, which have been taking the money out of the system, and so the queues are longer than they are. The other side is also true. There is a lot of black money which has come into this 11.5 lakh crore, which will be taxed, and there's a bonanza waiting for the government there.
Let me get a final word then for you, from you, Arvind Virmani. The people out there perhaps still don't know what demonetization really will do to the economy, and I'm getting different projection. There are those who are saying 2 quarters. I've just heard someone tell me from a research agency in Mumbai, this could go on for 12 months in terms of the slowdown. How bad can it get, or is it being exaggerated? Do you believe this is the so-called hockey stick, that in 6 months the economy will tick upwards, or do you believe we are in for a prolonged period of uncertainty purely in terms of an economic slowdown?
Let me put it in very, very simple terms. The problem has arisen because the transaction currency needed for transaction has been withdrawn. You have to put it back in. But there is another dimension of this, because the normal retail trade is in smaller currencies. So you not only have to put the total amount of cash back into the economy, you have to have 500 and 100 rupee notes, which are critical to lubricating the bottom. The bottom you have been emphasizing. So if as soon as you can get this currency out to the public, this thing will be totally reversible. Now the problem is, if this kind of thing goes on for too long, say more than three months it takes you to get the cash, then you will have a little more permanent effects. But if you can, for example, put all the currency back in 2 months, then I don't see any long-term effects.
There is still no guarantee. There is no guarantee, right? Am I right, Rajiv? There is no guarantee.
I think yesterday RBI has announced 4 lakh crore out of 16 lakh crore is into the system. That's 25% of the currency. There's a long way to go. So probably it's not going to be 2 months. It's probably going to extend to 5 months, 6 months, maybe 7 months.
So we'll have to wait and see just how long the pain lasts. Clearly, as Sambit Patra seems to suggest, he believes there are gains that are worth it, but there are gains that will possibly come in the medium to long term. At the end of the day, there are people out there who are more worried about what happens in the short term. We'll have to wait and see whether demonetization then was really worth the pain or not. The jury is still out. And Sambit, the next big date that I'll get you is the 30th of December to see where we stand at the 50-day mark. Thanks very much for joining us at the moment. Now, ever since that big demonetization announcement 1 month ago, you may have been discarding your old 500 and 1000 rupee notes. Tonight, we thought we'll tell you what happens to those old paper notes.
For about a month now, you have been waiting in queues outside banks to exchange your old notes for new ones. But what happens to those rupees 500 and 1000 currencies that have no value in the market? We are here at the Western India Plywood Company in Kannur district of Kerala, that the RBI has chosen to send its bundles and tons of rupees 500 and 1000 notes to recycle them and make them into hardboard. Let's find out how. 500 and 1000 rupee notes that have been shredded into these briquettes go into this machine through this hole, and at the same time the wood is also made into pulp, and that will also get into this machine. Now once these shredded briquettes are put into that particular hole in that machine, it goes underground through that pipe to the top to join the wood pulp, where the rest of the process takes place. Sir, in what form do you get these notes? Are they bundled, or do they come as the shredded form?
They are giving it a briquetted.
Okay.
This is a briquette.
Okay. Once the shredded notes are grinded, it is sent through this tunnel in a pulp form that you can see right here. It is a mix of water and pulp. Now this pulp is sent to 5 different tanks. From that tank, this pulp that is also in its watered form is again moved to a different level that you see on the other side, and this is where the pulp and the water gets separated and moves to the next stage as form of a board. After adjusting the thickness, the board is further sent to be cut into specific length, 16 feet at this point of time. The board is still soft and hot. It is further sent ahead. It is breakable, but at this point of time, there is absolutely no trace of the raw material that goes into it. To get a neat hardboard, the raw boards are loaded onto this machine and taken on top, where it will be pressed for about 2 minutes at a temperature of close to 200 degrees Celsius. Now the hardboard is out there in one of its finest forms, different from the raw material that you saw in the beginning of those shredded 500,000 old currency notes. Once it's on that layer, it falls down, and every 10 seconds there is a hardboard that's coming out. A block of the old rupees 500 currency notes shredded, and all around me is what it has been made into. This one right here is used in soundproof rooms, that one as writing pads, and this right here as false ceilings. Now each time you see one of these products, remember a lot of money has gone into the making of these, quite literally. With camera person Kumar, in Kannur for India Today.
That's it. 500 and 1,000 rupee notes. That's what happens to